And so Parzival is invited into Montsignor, or the Grail Castle. And he's climbed up these heights, and he comes up the stairs, and the drawbridge is lowered, and he enters into the castle. And he enters into this castle here, Montsignor. And he comes into the castle, and his horse is taken, and he goes upstairs, he gets changed, and he's invited into the dinner hall. And as he comes into the dinner hall, he sits down, and the king is lying on cushions in great pain. And Parzival talks to him, but doesn't ask him any questions, and certainly doesn't ask him, "What ails thee, my king?" Anyway, later on in the night, the doors are flung open, and in comes some maidens. And finally, the most beautiful maiden of all carries the Holy Grail. And when the Holy Grail is placed on the table, the entire table fills with the most beautiful food, and Parzival eats his fill. At the end of the dinner, the king actually presents Parzival with a sword, which Parzival gratefully accepts. But he still doesn't ask, "What ails thee, my king?" And then he goes to sleep. He goes back upstairs and he goes to sleep. And when he wakes up in the morning, the castle is an empty ruin. There is nothing there. And Parzival is quite spooked by this experience. And so he comes downstairs. His horse is already saddled. He gets on his horse. He walks through the gates. And as he walks through the gates, he hears an echoey voice from on top of the battlements. And it says, "Have you no heart, Sir Knight? Could you not ask the question? When you saw suffering, could you not ask, what ails thee, my king?" And Parzival stops. He goes to answer the voice, but there's no point. There's just emptiness and the wind and the echoing of bells of the cows on the pastures. For nothing of the castle is left. And so he leaves the castle, not knowing what his shame is, but sensing that he has committed some great sin, of which he certainly has. So this is part of the story of Parzival and the Holy Grail, as told by Wolfram, who was a German troubadour. And it was told about this castle here, Montsignor. But why? Why would Wolfram set his Grail story here about this castle? Why? Well, it's probably because this castle was the last stronghold of the Cathars. And the Cathars, as I've said before, were probably a Christian religious sect, a very early one. It may be that they were followers of John the Baptist. Maybe they believed that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were married and had a baby, and that baby was the Holy Grail. Maybe they had the cup that Mary Magdalene had caught the blood of Jesus, or the cup of the Last Supper, as one of the treasures that they had. But whatever it was, they ended up here in the 12th century, 13th century I think it was by then. It was the last stronghold. The Catholic Church was persecuting them severely, because they didn't believe in the opulence of the church or the corruption of the Catholic Church that was happening at that time. And so they were absolutely massacred. In fact, there was an inquisition, and it was basically a complete genocide of the Cathars. Every single Cathar was burnt at the stake, all over the place, all made to recant their beliefs. And the Cathars had two levels. They had the perfects, and they had the lay people. So the person who was the lord of this castle, the Cathar who was the lord of this castle, he came out finally when the siege was just about at an end, and it was obvious that the castle was going to fall. And so he came out and he begged for the lives of the lay people, but the Inquisition would not recant and wouldn't allow any saving of any of the people. Well, 200 of the Cathars were burnt at the stake here at this castle because they refused to renounce. And a number of knights also got initiated into the perfects, and they got burnt at the stake as well rather than recant. So it was just a complete massacre, and it was the last one at the stronghold. But before that happened, 4 Cathars escaped with what they think were parchments or documents, or perhaps the Holy Grail. And they escaped with that, and they left this castle, and we don't know where they buried that. Or maybe they had the treasure, because the Cathars would bequeath the Cathar religion their valuables when they died, and so there was Cathar valuables. But why, when the Cathars didn't really believe much in material possessions, they needed those valuables to maintain the sieges that they were under, and to gain protection and to eat, of course, because in this incredible place, which is so isolated, of course, it wasn't easy for them to be fed, so they, needed money for that. But why would those 4 escape, and what were they doing? What secrets did they carry? This is all part of the Grail legend, and this is maybe the reason why that troubadour Wolfram was inspired to set the Parzival story at Montsignor. And this is the view on the other side. You can see the sheer drop. Now, I had vertigo here before, actually. The sheer drop. This is where the Cathar lay people lived here, and then this is the castle of Montsignor. So it's very exciting for me to be here because, the Cathars, I've been studying the Cathars since I was 21 years old, and it's just this is the Holy Grail of the Cathars, to come here and be in this place where their last stronghold was. So thanks for listening. This is day 4 of my quest for the Holy Grail, and I'm here at Montsignor in the south of France. Bye.